Hey there, it's Teacher Jamie with ESLOnlineTeaching.com, and today I'm going to help you prepare your classes before you actually enter the classroom. This is with VIPKID, and this is how I have been doing it for the last 3 years. So get ready and hold on to your seats. Here we go, people. I have 3 tips to help you prepare for your VIPKID classes. Ready? Here they are. Tip number 1, weed out the fluff and stuff. Did I just say that? Yes, you can weed out. You know your students. And if you have a regular and you know how well they pronounce things, how well they read, and you know their strengths and their weaknesses, but you know your student really well, you can go through and kind of pick out the things that have a lot more repetition. Now, level 2s and 3s, yeah, you're going to see a lot more need for that repetition. But when I teach a level 3, for sure, level 4 and 5, and my level 6s, I definitely can go through and just kind of scale down because I know these kids want to extend and have more conversation throughout the lesson. There are some slides that just say practically the same thing. So it's that repetition that's really important for beginner students. But when you have these upper levels, they start thinking, this again, and you don't want them to dread class. Sometimes you need to go through and just know your student and cater to that student. So yes, I do go through and I pick out the slides that I feel like are just a little extra and too much fluff for the student. Now, if it's a new student, you may want to just go through and see how well they do with the first few slides, start kind of weeding out as you get to know that student. So how do I weed out? This is how I do it. I open up a page document, whether it's Word or Pages. I will open that up and I log in 30 minutes before all my classes start. I will just run through real quickly all my lessons for that day and I look and see who they are, the kids. I'm able to make a note on that doc that I have open. So I might say, Tommy, today, start on, and I will put the start page because I'm not going to do the warm-up every time with these students that are more advanced especially. Sometimes the warm-ups are just time-consuming when they would much rather just visit and talk with me. Generally, I skip over that. I will go to usually page 3 or 4, and sometimes it's page 5. It really depends on if I really feel like this student needs to cover the first few slides. Then I will just go through the whole thing. I will make my list of skip pages. So I might say skip 6, skip 7, even skip 12, 15, 18. You know, I will just make note of the ones I want to just skip over because it's a page that's generally repetitive or to teach that concept even more. And if I know the student probably has it already, then I'm just going to skip it. Another thing that I will do is I will always jump to the presentation information first. So before we even start the class, I find that it's easier for me to start on the presentation, which means I'm introducing like, hey, this is what your options are for your final assessment in this class. I'm introducing that to you. Here are your 3 options, and I will cover that the first part of class instead of the last part, because what I find is I get to that part and I'm like, so here's your options, 1, 2, 3. Good luck. But if I actually start with it, I can actually say, okay, so here's option 1, and I cover all the stuff that they can do, option 2 again, and so forth. So I will make that note. I will say, okay, Tommy, start on page 21, cover the final assessment project information. And then I'll say, go back to slide 5 or page 5. And so I tell myself where to go after I am done there. I go back to page 5, and then I can see all my skipping pages that I will do. I don't know if this is something I should really be advertising, but I do feel like it's helpful when you already know your students very well and you can cater to the class. Now, like I have said in another video, I have had students that are so busy and they do not want to focus at all on the lesson one bit. I could technically send a note and say, hey, there's behavior problems and this child's having a hard time focusing. Rarely do I ever do that. Okay, we're just going to drop the lesson. They are not interested in this. We are going to just focus in on their interest. So I will talk about their cars or their toys or their day or their family members or their pet. Just find the things that they're interested in and make it a lesson, because it is much better for them to be talking and engaged than I think trying to cram information into them that they really could care less about. I've never had any parent complain that I do it this way. Even though you can prepare, you always need to be ready to have that free talk or those conversations that are more pertinent to that child. Now, if I don't know the student at all, I can't prepare very well because I don't really know what their strengths are, but the VIPKID does give you a lot of help with this because you have other teachers that can give feedback on this student. You also have goals, or you have parents' concerns of what their hopes are for their child that are listed. And you also can see their academic performance, which includes like they're either excellent or they're struggling in either grammar, social studies, math, phonics. Lots of things can help you understand where this child is already, even if you don't know them very well. I don't personally like to weed out a lot when it's a new student because I want to really gauge gauge it for myself to see how they do. I usually just try to keep most of the slides for the students that I'm unfamiliar with. I can also go ahead and see right away how that student is performing, and then I can know from there if I want to cut out. Tip number 2 is I gather props. Now, wait, I have a basket that I just keep close at hand, but when I look through my materials, I might say, oh, we're talking about dolphins today. I have gone and I have swam with dolphins, and I have a picture with me and the dolphins, so I might grab that. Or if I am talking about vacations, I might want to go get some pictures of the vacation that we went on just most recently. Sometimes we talk about weather. I might go get some hats or gloves or things that would pertain to the lesson that give that little personal touch. The kids just love it because then all of a sudden they're like, wait, what do I have in my house that I could easily show teacher Jamie, and it applies to the lesson as well. So I think when you talk about props, yes, just use what you have in your classroom, but also find things that apply to the lesson. Give it that little personal touch. Is really, it's fun. It's lots of fun. Tip number 3 is just preparing yourself for the long haul. So a lot of things that I prepare with are I bring my water bottle, I make sure it's filled, I get a snack, a banana or a granola bar or something quick to just have at hand. I also like to bring a cardigan, lap blanket, socks, anything to kind of keep me warm, because sometimes when it's early morning, it just feels chilly once you get out of those blankets. So I bring things for the long haul. I also really like to have the option to sit or to stand, because sometimes after teaching for a long time, you can get a little bit weary or tired of just sitting, and I have a back that doesn't like to sit for a long time, so standing up really helps me. It just brings up that energy level too. So I like to prepare for the long haul. It is long sitting and just staring at a screen. Make sure you're ready to teach as well. I hope these tips were helpful. I love to hear about how you prepare for your classes and what tips you have to give other teachers, because we can all help each other in this community of teaching ESL online, whether you're with different companies or VIPKID. I would love to hear and have you share. So in the description box, you'll find my email below. You'll also find ways to contact me if you have any questions. I hope this is what you needed today. I'll see you later on my channel.